and welcome to this session. And this session really is about how do you set yourself or set the people that you work with up for success in 2025 using the G.R.O.W model, right? Um, and I will get into that session in a bit. But I wanted to say something that I'm excited you all are here because this is our first monthly Impact Facilitator monthly community call. Yay! I thought you put your hands together and just say, "Yay, we're excited." It's the first one, and all 19 of us are the first set of people. Please put an emoji or something. Yeah, I can see the emojis coming up now. And what we hope to do with this is we're not just pulling people together into a community because we want to have a community. There's a certain level of growth. There's a certain level of results. There's a certain level of outcomes that we want anybody who says that they are part of the Impact Facilitator community to be able to accomplish by being a part of the Impact Facilitator community. As you already imagine, the name is Impact. So impact can be, and I think of impact in the different directions. Impact is personal impact. Impact is, immediate communal impact. And impact, you think about it as broader, widespread impact. So if you think about yourself, if you impact yourself, if you're creating impact, it might be in your own growth and your own progress. It might be in your income, the increase in that income. If you think about people, two things are important. I mean, number of things. Health, wealth, productivity, and learning, right? So we're thinking about, am I healthy? Am I wealthy? Am I productive? Am I learning? And I think that's, if you think about that, that's impact from a personal standpoint. If you go to the next level of that, which is almost relational or next level, you're thinking about, do I have good relationships? Family relationships, for example. Have you got good professional relationships? Are you positively impacting the people in your circle? Something that John Maxwell, I remember very well from John Maxwell, is this quote of success. It has stuck with me. I've been reading John Maxwell's books for maybe more than 15 years, or I don't know, I can't remember how long. But there was a quote that says, success is when the people that know me the closest respect me the most. I'm paraphrasing. So we have different ways to define success. But success is when people that know me the closest respect me the most. And the point is that if people that know you the closest respect you the most, it means there's a number of things. It means that at the core level of your mindset, your character, your personality, you're okay. Because today we've got measures of success, which is very externalized. But the truth is that if your family and people around you and your friends can say, you know what, you're solid, you're a brilliant, amazing individual, not just because they love you, but because they know genuinely that, and it's not just saying, oh, we just manage this person, because they know genuinely that your impact is there, and so that's really what success is about. And then you begin to scale that out. Now, so that's that second level of impact. And then the third level of impact is really like the global spread of impact, like some of us on this call have had the opportunity to do things globally in more than, maybe 17 countries, 15 to 17 countries. I've now had the opportunity to work with groups of people in person, right? And virtually as well, and really be able to share my gifts. And I think that that's just the beginning point of the impact that I personally want to make. So like I said, there's a personal impact, there's your smaller group impact, and then there's a wider group impact. And so when we think about the Impact Facilitator community, it's really about how do you drive that across those different levels in very practical, tangible ways. So we want to make sure that we're getting every member of the community who is engaged. I say that because I've led communities, I've been part of communities, and I know that it's the level of engagement people bring in that determines what they get out of it. You see what I mean? And if you're like a sponge, you're soaking everything, you're improving, you're learning. It's just a matter of time. You see yourself continuing to move from one level to the other. And I know most of us are here because no matter you probably achieved a lot of success at some level, you've created a lot of impact, but you want to move to the next level and you want to continue to impact people. And the big thing about Impact Facilitator is really about how do you create that impact for people around your space? How do you become the voice? How do you become the channel? And one of the things I've heard is if you're a channel, the blessings always pass through you. So the pipe that runs water never is always wet, that is always blessed. And I think, like, if I paraphrase scripture, the Bible says more blessed to give than to receive. So it's really like, if you're an impact facilitator, you have put yourself in this space where you're a leader, that you can make a difference in the lives of people in your immediate workplace, in your family, in your smaller communities, whether it's like for-profit, non-profit impact communities, and on a global landscape. And I think we want to be able to tap into all the brilliance that we can for this community. And so these community calls, we're going to keep them, we're going to keep doing them monthly, and we're going to try to bring as much value to you. Now, a number of things that we want to start up with this community. Guys, are you still with me, or am I talking to myself? Please put one word in the chat box from everything that I'm saying that stuck with you. If I am talking to you, hopefully I'm not talking to myself and going on and on. I know I'm trying to be fast with it, because I know we've only got, what, 42 more minutes. We've got 1 hour here, but I'm trying to get as much information as possible across to you within the time of this call. So if you're with me, just put one word in the chat box and I will move on. Okay, brilliant. I can see Ogechi, Jedediah, Daniel are all with me, and I'm hoping the rest of the folks are with me as well. Now, so like I was saying, the Impact Facilitator community monthly calls are going to happen every month. Of course, next month we're going to have another session, January, February, and on. But what we're going to do is that we're going to facilitate these calls, but we're also going to get you involved. So what we're going to do is, we know that we're trying to look at ways to create value for the community, and part of that is just sharing the knowledge within the community and giving other people space and platform to bring their voice to the table. So I think starting in January or February, we're going to share a format where we will invite you to co-facilitate a topic with us that is around the impact facilitation theme. So it's got to be something around impact facilitation. So we'll share that form, and would invite you to co-facilitate, and then you would go through a prep process with us just to make sure that we are aligned and that we are delivering value to the community. That way, you're delivering value to the community, but that way you're also having a platform that continues to grow your own impact as well. The second thing that we had wanted to do, but I don't think we'll be able to do right now, is we wanted to do pitch it. But from the responses that we got some responses, but there wasn't detail. People would say, you know what, I want to do this, I want to do that. But we didn't see a lot of detail, and we want to be very clear about what we are allowing people to share, and we want to be sure that it's beneficial. So we might not be able to take that today. We'll do the next one. Is that all right? And so that said, I will talk more some of the announcements before we go ahead. So we've done the introductions, and I think that you probably know the rules already. You know the ground rules: respect myself, except you want to speak, zero spamming in the comments, camera while in a stable area, so you can put on your camera so that we can see you and connect with you. I'm glad that I can see Josephat Lengami, because it is weird connecting with names and boxes. So if you're able to put on your camera, it will be super helpful, especially if you are not doing laundry or cooking in the kitchen. We don't want to see the color of the pots and pans or the clothes. Okay, so please try and put on camera so we can connect with you. All right, so myself already, I am Demi, and I have worked globally in a number of roles in entrepreneurship development, leadership development, and product management, and in marketing. And I think when I think about facilitation, is very critical and important to me, because it's just been a key part of my success in either working with groups or working with people, and that's what I'm passionate about. I think it is a core leadership skill to have in terms of driving people towards an outcome. whether you're doing strategy or you're doing learning or you're doing any other kind of process facilitation. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. All right, so today we'll do the grow intro. We'll do some grow breakout rooms. That is, we'll try to practice growing breakout rooms. We'll do a Q&A, and then we'll do announcements and feedback. Is that all right? Please put an emoji if that's all right, if that sounds good to you. All right. Okay, so let's go into it. One thing that you'll get used to now is I probably ask you to respond. So put an emoji or put something, because again, that's part of what we ask you to do when you are working with people. You want to get that response. You don't want to go monotonously. Okay, so thanks, Daniel. Thank you, Timmy Tokwe and Ogechi. Brilliant. I will come back to this later, but we spoke about this. For those of us who are in the summit, we probably have an idea on this and the books. By the way, how many people have had the chance to go through the first book, Inspiring Facilitators? Okay, if you haven't, it's a very rich book. We've gotten feedback from some people already. It's a very rich book. Guys, this set of books is once we're done rolling them out for the first time, they're going to cost $49, right? They actually cost $49, but because many of us attended the summit, we decided to give them free. It's a lot of work that we've put into it, a lot of thinking and research over a period of time. And if you see the books as well, you see how valuable, how carefully done they are. So they're not just they're not trashy copy and paste materials. They are materials that we've put sweat and blood into. So I encourage you, the next one, Insightful Facilitators, is going to be in your inbox on Monday, because we said we'll roll it out over 10 weeks. So hopefully, again, if you go through all these guidebooks, you should really strengthen your facilitation skill at the end of that period. Okay, I thought I had another slide before this, but I must have missed this slide. So talking about G.R.O.W Framework or G.R.O.W model, has anybody heard of G.R.O.W model? Please give me an emoji if you have heard of or worked with the G.R.O.W model. If you've heard of or worked with the G.R.O.W model, just put G.R.O.W in the chat box. Put G.R.O.W in the chat box. If you have worked with the G.R.O.W model, put G.R.O.W in the chat box. And let's see. Grow. Let's grow. Grow. Yeah, it's either a grow or a nope, right? So if you've worked with the G.R.O.W model, put grow. If you have not worked with the G.R.O.W model, put nope, like Daniel put in the chat box. Let's just get a sense for who is already familiar with what we're talking about. So Daniel says, nope. Yeah, nope. I think I need to, okay, nope. Let me stop sharing and reshare. I think I must have misplaced one of the slides that was supposed to come before. I thought it was in this order. Okay, please keep the comments coming. I see no grow. Okay, so really, how many people are into coaching here? You are a coach. How many people are into coaching? That is, you coach people. And there's different kinds of coaching. You might do life coaching, you might do business coaching. I'm probably not talking about sports coach, but you could even have like sports coaches. You could have like people in some other kind of coaching where it's like you are in HR, for example, and you've got to coach people at work. You might be in a professional, might even be doing career coaching. How many people are into coaching? Yes, Nancy says role model. Yeah, that's brilliant. I know Lucia Lanre Coaching Academy, so that's brilliant that you share that. Yes, Nancy says Yes, I got to know about the G.R.O.W model. Josephat has also heard of it during my life coaching certification. That's brilliant. Glad to hear that you're a life coach, Nancy, at the Odishola Lanre Coaching Academy. Now, the G.R.O.W model is a coaching tool. For the most part, it's used as a coaching tool where, okay, Josephat, good, it's HR, right? So it's always part of your work, helping people to, yeah. Do you guys, Nancy and Josephat, do you want to share something in the chat box about what you know about G.R.O.W? While I continue to talk on, just so that other people learn from yourselves as well, not just me. So put something in the chat box when you think about the G.R.O.W model. Now, I continue to talk on because the G.R.O.W model is really a way to get people to move from one point to another. If you're familiar with coaching, coaching is a co-creative process that uses somebody's ability to guide, in this case, again, facilitate another person and in the process of in an empowered approach, lead that person towards their outcomes. Now, if you're in the field of learning and development or any kind of personal development, you think about there's mentoring, there's coaching, there's training, there's facilitation. All those things have got different outputs. They've got different approaches, sometimes similar outcomes or goals, but they are almost like tools that you use at different points. So, for example, in training, you might be imparting knowledge, right? And you might be specifically telling somebody, this is how to do this. For example, if you're trying to get somebody to fly an aircraft, the high likelihood is that you're using training, not facilitation, because they've got to get specific knowledge. And then in facilitation, it means that there's probably already some sort of exposure or knowledge that you are trying to get people to bring out to the fore and then to be able to learn for themselves. In some cases, they might also not know as well. So even in some of those examples, you can use training, you can use facilitation, you can blend the methods. Coaching is really allowing people to arrive at their own answers and arrive at their own conclusions. And it's really a process where the coach and the coachee are co-creating something, but in this situation, the person is empowered. At least when we talk about life coaching, not football coaching or sports coaching. When we talk about life coaching, people like Nancy and maybe a number of people also in life coaching probably bear me witness. You don't want to take the agency or the responsibility out of the hand of the person. You don't just want to tell them what you should do. You want to enable and empower them to get to that realization by themselves and to be able to make the change they need to make. So when you think about, let's put this into context. All of us here, most of us, or probably all of us, are facilitators. We work with audiences. And some of us are going to be leading team retreats. They're going to be leading, myself, I've probably got a couple that I'm going to be leading or team planning sessions or goal setting sessions. Some of you might be leading vision boarding sessions, anything that allows people to prepare for 2025 or to prepare for a new set of goals. Now, when you begin to do that, it might be personal goals, it might also be corporate or group goals that people are going to get to. You want to make sure, number one, that people have ownership where it comes to those goals. That is, people are a part of that goal, right? And then they take ownership for the outcomes. Now, you can also use this for self-coaching. You can also use this to coach yourself, right? So while we're talking about you as a facilitator using it for others, we can also use it to self-coach. And if you think about your own goals, you can use this framework as an approach. Just going back to Lengami's point is in HR, so it's always part of what is about setting goals and developing actionable strategies applied in business, personal growth, and leadership contexts. And when interacting with people operations is very vital. Yes, I agree with you, Josephat. Goals, reality, options, and way forward. Exactly. So you would see goals. Grow essentially means G for grow, R for reality, O for options, and W is usually used for will or way forward. So you'll probably hear what's the way forward, what's the actions that you're going to take, or how are you going to develop the will. So let's walk through it quickly just a bit more. The first step for any grow process. So If you're familiar with traditional goal setting, you probably talk about SMART goals. I'm sure you probably heard about SMART goals. I know the framework. So the thing I want to say is that when you're using G.R.O.W, for example, you can use different frameworks at each step of the model. So you've got SMART goals, right? For goals, right? So you can talk about, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable, realistic, and time bound? Now, the most important thing at this stage is clarity and specificity. How clear are you? How clear is the goal? You can say, I want to get promoted at work, or somebody says, I want to get promoted at work this year in 2025. I want a promotion. But what should they be saying from a SMART perspective? Right. They should be saying what kind of promotion they want to get in terms of, do I want to get promoted vertically or horizontally? For example, that is, I want to go on step up the ladder, or do I want to get promoted into another role? For example, do I want to, what time of the year, by what time of the year? Is it by like Q2 or Q3? Does it come with a salary increase? Is it something? So the role is clear, the direction is clear, the amount is clear, the timing is clear, and then you've also got we talk about realistic within that framework as well. When you think about the process of the organization, I do work in HR, so I know that when we do talent development and talent planning, and we look at the 9-box grid. We do something where we evaluate talent, and Joseph, you probably know this as well, where we put people in certain boxes, and then you can say, you know what, based on the competencies this person is accomplishing, based on what they are doing, they are eligible, they should be considered for promotion in maybe 6 to 12 months, or this other person should be considered 18 to 24 months. The other people, you will say, you know what, let's just keep them happy. And then there's other people where they're like, these guys are at the risk of poaching. So when you look at that talent grid, if you, the more knowledge you have about this things, the clarity you have, the more specific you are with some of these things. So somebody could be saying, I want to succeed, I want to be promoted, and you could even add prayers to it. The truth of the matter, and I'm not saying prayer doesn't work, just to be very clear. And the truth of the matter is that if you have a clue of why and how they're going to promote, that promotion, the likelihood is higher because you will just do those things, especially in organizations where there's clarity around progression and, and all that. So it's important to be very clear, to be very specific. So think about your goals. If you've set goals already, and this is what we encourage you, push your audience, right? Push them. What would success look like? So describe it. Push them to be critical clear. What will success look like? So if you say, I'm going to be successful next year, what does that even mean? What does that mean? Does it mean that I'm going to be successful? For example, I can say, you know what, in our boot camp, we've got to have at least 25 participants per each boot camp, or 50 participants per each boot camp from at least 10 countries across the world, and then by this time, they should have registered. Or in our leadership summit, we've got to have 200 people in the leadership summit, or we've got to have 100 people or 150 people, and they've got to come from, so there are numbers there. Number one, there is a place there. And so it's critical to have a clear vision of what will success look like. The other thing that's important is that there's got to be metrics. So when you talk about metrics, you begin to describe the goals with like, what does success look like? But in terms of metrics, how would you measure it? So you can use percentage increase. For example, if you say salary increase, you're aiming for some level of increase, for example, or it might be business, right? It might be number of clients that you add to your business. It might be number of deals that you're able to do per month. If you say next year, for example, I'm into graphic design, what I want to do is I want to grow my business to start serving 5 extra clients every month. So in Q1, I'm going to start serving two to three extra clients every month. In the next quarter, I'm going to move it up to 4. At the end of the year, I should be stably serving maybe 5, 7, 10. If you're a one-person business, or if you've got a larger business, you can then scale the goals to what is reality. So the metrics have got to be clear, and you've got to get your audience through that. Is that all right? Moving on real quick. Now, you've got to, number one, also, so the power of the power of grow is that it grounds you also in reality, because sometimes you set goals that are very disconnected from reality, and it's all just, for lack of better words, it's not just even faith, it's more like just dreaming, and just, that kind of emotional salve, or that kind of the excitement. We like that the adrenaline that just, makes us come when we set like the goals. But then when we come to the end of the year and we're trying to reckon, we're just like, oh my God. So it's really about exploring the reality. So what's the current state on the issue? So let's start from the beginning. You've got to have a focus, right? So if you're using the GROW model for like we've been talking about career or business growth for people, first thing is you want to look at what's that career goal or business goal. So if somebody is trying to reach a career goal to say, I want to be promoted vertically, I want to move into like a line manager level, for example. I mean, you've got to look at it. Can I do that within 12 months? It's very possible, depending on the organization as well. Or I want to move into next level, which is like director or head of a department, for example. I want to move into heads of a department, and then maybe I want to move to director. But depends on where you're coming from, right? It depends on where you're starting from. If it's a career thing, if it's a business thing, it's probably different, right? But the current thing you've got to understand is, what is the reality? So what is happening now? And you've got to look at everything. So in the context of being promoted into that role, what's the state of the organization? Sometimes from a career perspective, being promoted into that role might mean, when you look at the reality, it might mean you just need to go to another organization, because in the current organization that you are, for example, it's not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. So if you look at the current scenario, you can look at what's the reality. And sometimes this is where you start getting data. So for example, you speak to your direct manager. If it's like a heads off, you speak to the director, or somebody like in C-suite, if they are level higher than director level and all that. And you really want to know, what's the current reality? What are my chances here? And you look at, what have I done so far around it? So you want to get people to see what is the reality, because the reality is like the launching part, and what is currently happening around that. What has happened? It helps you to do some sort of reconnaissance and say, what's the state of reaching this goal? And what is happening in my environment around this, or what is happening around this situation? Now, for business, it might be the same thing, looking at, what is the current state of affairs? I want to increase my clients. What's the current state of affairs? There's an inflation, it's all-time high. People are not able to, make money, I mean, and people are not able to pay. That's a reality, that's a reality. And even though you say you want to increase your client, you've got to deal with that reality, and you've got to say, okay, what am I already doing? What am I already doing? And what am I already I'm doing towards this? So once you map out that reality, it gets you to start thinking about the next steps, which is options, right? So what options are available to you? Who might be available to you? How can you start tapping into that, And I've used this model a lot of times for people, where I'm like, okay, this is where you're trying to go. You're trying to get this, you're trying to raise, I'm using a figure of money, for example. And I say, what's your current reality? These are the skills you've got. This is so you want to raise this amount of money per month, or you want to be earning this amount of money per month, and you're doing like freelance. So it's like, these are the skills you've got. This is where you currently are living. This is the people around you. This is the reality, the environment where you are. Things might not change. The next step, you want to start looking at, what are the options? What are the different resources, people that are available to you towards reaching that income goal? So you start listing out, and then you start looking at, what can you do? What skill can you deploy? What relationships can you begin to deploy? And so you look at that, and then you look at, what relationships can you begin to deploy, or what skills or what resources are available to you. And then you look at, and you start weighing. So this is where you do like your pros and cons. Like I was saying earlier on, you can use another framework for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat, which is like the SWOT analysis, to look at all the options that you've got. So one of your options is, emigrate, move from my country to another country where I can make money. Or one of your options is start doing a digital business, for example. Or one of your options is offer a new product to potential clients that you already have or potential customers that you already have. Another option could be, set up this new business or set up this new thing, create this new source of income, and then you look at it and say, if I already have this base of people, if I already have these kinds of relationships, then I can begin to do this, Chidima Samson, reality is currently what is happening. I just talked through it. Reality is what is happening at the moment. Where am I? If you say you want to go with career, you want to accomplish a career goal, where are you? How are you currently performing? um, what was your last performance review like, for example? What are the opportunities and roles in the organization that you could perhaps step into? For example, what is that environment looking like in terms of that reality for you? And then when you think about it, what have you done so far? So you're asking different questions here. So what have you done so far towards this goal? What steps might you have already taken? So your reality is in the light of that goal that you're trying to reach, what are the prevailing conditions? Chidima, does that make sense? What are the prevailing conditions of in your space regarding that in the light of the goal that you're trying to reach? Okay, so what we're saying is that you don't just set a goal and say, what I'm going to reach. You need to say what's the scenario around this? Okay, so just going with options. So by the time you do like a weighing the options thing and you do like your pros and cons and you do like a SWOT analysis, now you want to do like a way forward. Now, I'm going to finish off, then I'm going to ask every one of us to individually do like a 3 minutes. So get a pen and paper. I'm going to finish off shortly, but what I want you to do is have a pen and paper handy, and I want you to pick one area where you think you want to make an improvement in 2025. Okay. And then you're going to fill in the goal, you're going to fill in the reality, you're going to fill in the options, and you're going to fill in the way forward. Now, so one area that you're going to go. So the pros and cons, once you do the pros, so get ready for that, please. And then hopefully we'll do a quick breakout check-in after once you've done that. So be thinking of that. And so the pros and cons of each option, you weigh those. And then importantly, the wheel or the way forward. So the wheel or the way forward is what actions are you going to take? Start considering. Importantly, sometimes we try to set goals, but we don't think about what could stop us. What are some of the blockers or some of the challenges? It's almost like your risk management. If this happens, would I really be able to still hit this goal? What are the difficulties I already see? And it's about a reality, not being blind to those things, not saying, there's a part of saying when we get there, we solve it, but there's also a reality where you take into consideration that this could happen, this could derail my goals. And it's not being negative about it. It's really like making sure that you already count the costs and you see what it might take. Then importantly, based on the action that you have chosen to take, how would you occasionally review? So you've got to build in like checkpoints for yourself, okay? You've got to build in accountability for yourself. So for example, accountability might mean that you want to have somebody that you check in with monthly around those goals. For some of us, that might be enough motivation because just knowing that you're setting goals and somebody you're going to check in with them monthly, you're going to give a progress report, and you're going to do the same for them, is enabling us to really stay committed to those goals. And it's important because when you're pumped up at the start of the year, when people are pumped up at the start, and again, I'm saying this from a perspective of do this for your teams and do this for people you're facilitating for. When people are pumped up, they can promise anything. But you notice, especially in the new year, things start to slouch from like February, March, April, even like as much as February, So it's really like how do you stay motivated and way forward. Okay. And so how will you review? How will you do that? Is that all right? If you've got questions about this, I'd like you to put a question in chat box. But what I want us to do right now is take an area where you want to improve. You might have set you might have set a goal already in that area. Don't forget everything that we are doing now, you're probably going to do for people that you are working with, and I encourage you to do this. Take an area and then write out the GROW. So essentially G.R.O.W, and then identify what are your goals immediately. So like almost like G.R.O.W, and then you got like everything. Now, the ideal way to do this is that you start with goals first. So if you're doing a coaching conversation or a facilitated session, you start with goals and then you ask the person to first identify the goals. So they write that down. After they've identified the goals, then you will prompt with the next question. Now, I'm asking you to write all four at the same time, but ideally, in practice, the way it works is, and I'm doing that because of time, the way it works in practice is that after people have identified the goal, then you come back and say, so what's your current reality? What's the current situation of things? They give you the current reality and situation of things. And then you say, based on this current reality and situations, what are the options that you've got? So you're moving from goals into actual accomplishment. You're moving away from just goal setting. So what are the actual actions that what are the options that you've got? And then once they've got that options set, and then weigh the options. Let's weigh the options, right? Let's weigh the options. And then you then say, what is your final, what's it called? How are you going to, what's the next steps? What are the way forward? How can you measure this? How can you track it? So as you're doing that, I am going to add a slight little bit of complexity because I didn't want us to leave without having quick 5-minute conversation in the group. So I'm going to create breakout rooms, and I just want us to do a quick, it's going to be 5 minutes. So please make sure that you talk in the breakout rooms. Like, don't wait for somebody else to talk. Like, just go ahead and speak, and just I want you to chat about how you're going to use the GROW model. Feel free to say, you know what, this is my goal, you can read out what you just wrote to your group members, to the people in your group. You can say, this is my goal, this is my current reality, these are the options, this is my way forward or will. Now, because verbalizing some of that also just helps you cement it. Now, so I will create the breakout rooms, and in those groups, you can answer 2 questions. You can say, this is how I'm going to use the GROW model with the teams I work with. Or you can say, you know what, from what we just did now, this is my GROW. Is that all right? Please give me an emoji if you are happy and ready to go into the groups. If you are ready to go into the groups and you're still with me, please give me an emoji. Brilliant, Vicky. Thank you. Daniel, yes. Yes. Ogechi, yes. Okay, let's do a quick 5 minutes. Well, I know the rest of the people are trying to find their keypads and just like. So please, once you get into the room, please talk, step up. See you soon. And let's do that. The rooms are now open, so please enter the rooms. In 5 minutes, I'll bring you back to the main room. Let's make the best of the time and connect with each other. Quick introduction, and then answer the question quickly, and then let's come back. For those of you still here with me, please go ahead and join your rooms. I All right, welcome back, everyone. How did that go? Maybe just hear a few reflections on how that time of sharing went. Let's take one or two, and then we can have other people share in the chat. Daniel is already saying exciting. Okay, so tell me, I'm curious. You guys are having fun without me. I was just like, I was out here by myself, but you guys went in and had all the fun in the group. So share a bit of that. Can somebody just share back and say what it was about? How did it go? One or two people. Let's take two people and just share. Uh, Maybe on behalf of your group, and just say, you know what, this is what happened. Does anybody want to unmute and just share from the microphone?
Okay, Vicky speaking.
All right.
So I just
Thanks,
wanted to
Vicky.
share that the breakout session gave us an opportunity to demonstrate our understanding of the G.R.O.W model. And what we also realized is that somehow we have subconsciously been implementing it, but maybe we never knew it's actually a G.R.O.W model. But the breakout session gave more insight into that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vicky. Josephat as well as got his hand up.
Yes, we also had actually we had Daniel, we had Chidima, and we've also discussed some great insights. And the G.R.O.W model actually, everybody is applying it, is having it, but then they were not aware that this is specifically what we've been doing. But now people know. I also know because I always practice it, and from the way we were discussing, its effectiveness actually has always been lying in the ability for us to foster the clarity and also the self-reflection of your business or whatever you are doing, and the actionable solutions, especially when you are saying the options or the way forward has been so much powerful. So it's a tool that we both agreed that it's going to give us success in whatever we do, both individually, that is personally, or even as an organization. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Well articulated, both of you. And I think for all the people in the chat as well, I'm glad we could get that extra time. And I think when we do future community sessions, we'll probably build in some of that. So we'll probably do like 75 minutes or 90 minutes. I wanted to do a lot more of that, but of course, because I had to talk a bit about what the community is about today and all that stuff, I took up some time. So in the rest of the analysis, so I'm super glad to say to hear this, that you found value in articulating that framework. And I think importantly, now that you have a realization, you can use it, number one, you can use it more intentionally. That is, you can, there's an intention to it, using it personally, like Joseph was saying, and then you can also use it for people. You can use it for your teams. You can walk people through that framework, right? So it's exciting. I'm sure if we allowed you, there will be a lot more fantastic things that you've got to share. But I think it's been valuable just hanging out this morning, and I always like to keep it as impactful and as sweet as it can be. And so, but if you've got questions, if you've got any new things, I'm sure you will go back and think about applying it some more. You search for questions, and importantly, you will implement it for yourself, you know. And so if you've got all the questions, please feel free to DM or to send a message. I think one of the reasons we've just been very on the WhatsApp, if you're on WhatsApp, we've been very cognizant of other people's of the space that we're in. So we've not opened it up all the time. And I think gradually we would open it for people to share more. But if people wanted to share something on the group, you could let us know and we could open up the WhatsApp group for you to be able to share. If you're not on WhatsApp, let me see if there's a link I can find the link. Just give me a second. Okay, yes, no, thank you. There's a chat, the group is in the chat. Thanks, Ian. So you can join the WhatsApp group. For the recording, we can get the recording across to you, and we can also give you like a short template, so like a 1 to 2 pager. So what we'll probably do is we send the 1 to 2 pager to you where you've got like questions you should ask at each stage, and then just a guideline on how to use it so that you can actually go ahead and use it. So we'll probably do that either by the end of today or tomorrow, just to make sure we refine that a bit. Is that all right? Awesome. As we prepare to round off, Impact Facilitator community, like I said in the beginning, is really to drive that productivity connection and sort of like the value of the impact we're trying to make. With regards to a number of things following up from the summit that we had the volunteer roles. People had reached out to volunteer. So please look out for information on that. We're going to send for the volunteer roles and like the business development officer role, we're going to send a sort of like a JD, and then the people who volunteered will probably who reached out to probably send like a complete an assignment and send a CV or something. So as much as possible, we want to work with people, but we also want to ensure that we're very much aligned in the ethos of what we do and in the expectations, and just continue to add value. Like I mentioned, the final thing I'll talk about is the boot camps. Is it the boot camps next? No, it's this. I talked about this already. So look out for insightful facilitators coming up next Monday. Like I said, some of us will be are still working, like many of us, not on holiday yet. So you probably see this in your inbox on Monday, and you would have another 2 weeks. But the way it's going to come is that it will come with a link for feedback to inspiring facilitators. So what it means is that you will need to give feedback for inspiring facilitators to move into insightful facilitators. Yes, does that make sense? So people asking me about the roles and all that. We in the last summit we talked about it, the volunteer and the business development role. If you're interested, if you're on WhatsApp, just DM Ianu, just DM one of the admins. If you're on WhatsApp, DM one of the admins so that we add you. There's a number of people who have reached out, submitted interest in it. So we're just going to send like the job description so you understand what the role is about. And then finally, our boot camps. So some exciting news. I'm excited for our boot camps. We've been doing all these workshops, 2-hour workshops, 3-hour summits, 1-hour summit. But when you think about the boot camp, it's very specific in terms of we own on and we dig in to a number of skills. Now we've looked at our boot camps. We've got 2 boot camps next year. We've got Impact Facilitator boot camp, and then we've got Business of Facilitation boot camp. And you can see what the content is like, which we're going to share with you. It's a 10-hour boot camp over 3 days. So you've got 4 hours, you've got 2 hours, you've got 4 hours, which is like practice, and then you've got resources to go for it. Now, what we're going to do is that ideally the boot camps will go at like $200, and you can be part of the Impact Facilitator. You don't need to attend the boot camp. You can continue to learn through your guidebooks and all that. You don't need to attend the boot camp. But the boot camp is like, I want to solidify my skill set. I want to go through like regimented training and really like get like if you will, a certificate or some other kind of thing from your boot camp. So the boot camp, the first one is in February, the second one is Business of Facilitation, is in April. Now, some of the facilitators that you saw at the summit will be facilitating these boot camps alongside myself. So it's a very super packed value added boot camp, and there's also some other things that are, so we're going to send out the information in terms of the resources you get, the opportunities to get way into the boot camp. Now there's a number of tiers. Boot camp standard is $200, but what we do is an early bird price that ends in January, which is $149. But you know what we've done even more is that we've brought it backwards and say, you know what, for people that registered by this holiday season, that's January 5, it's $99. which is probably, yeah. So we will send out this information to yourselves and to everybody, and that people that come in as well will be able to get the value in bootcamp. Trust me when I say it is value add, right? It is value add. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about it, try and think about, do you want to get in on the early bird? Do you want to get in on the holiday season? And you'll probably also be able to pay in installments. So we'll probably be able to allow you to pay in 2 or 3 installments, depending on when you're paying, if you are registering for the bootcamp. So I would highly recommend it for you, if that's all right. So the Impact Facilitator Bootcamp and then the Business of Facilitation Bootcamp. But like I said, we will continue to do all the other community guidebooks and all that. But if you want to take skills to another level and just learn a bit more closely with our lead facilitators and just tap into their brain, pick their brain, get experience, get all the value you can get, you should go to the boot camps. You should come to the boot camps. Is that all right? Okay. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling? One word in the chat box before we go. One word in the chat box. How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling? One word in the chat box. One word in the chat box. Vicky's feeling great. I can see Josephat is clapping. Tibe is phenomenal. Josephat is awesome as well. Chidima is feeling empowered, right? Team Topic has got clarity. Daniel has got an amazing time. We want to really wish you an amazing 2025, and thank you for being part of Impact Facilitator community this year. We want to really build a thriving, impactful community. So stick around and think about ways to add value. And like I said last time, our Impact Facilitator monthly meetings are going to be such that we would have people pitch either what they're doing or pitch an idea or pitch something just to get feedback. So we'll allow you to sign up before time. We tried it this time, but we didn't get clarity from people that we so we will do it ahead of time next time. And then finally, some of you will be able to co-facilitate sessions with myself or a member of the team on a monthly basis. So you'll be able to choose a topic and, come and bring your brilliance to the table as well and your contribution, and you start to keep growing your network. We've got exciting things coming up. We've got a lot of exciting things that will add value to you. One of them is this boot camp. So stick around, and wishing you all, for myself and the team, myself, Yano, and Joy, it's been an amazing 2024 meeting with many of you. And thank you for continuing to show up. I encourage you, if you've got people within your network globally, everywhere, that you think will find value in Impact Facilitator, encourage them to join the network. You can share the WhatsApp link with them. Once they join, we can get them to share their details and all that. You can get the right people, to be very clear. No. Yeah, okay, just, if there are people that you think will find value in Impact Facilitator, professionals like yourselves and professionals at different levels, encourage them to join. And we don't want the wrong people in the network. I want to be very clear. We don't want people that will not add value, because the strength of the network is only as strong, is only as valuable as the quality of people there, and amazing people like yourself make it work. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aderonke. Thank you, Jedediah. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for your kind words. And